When it's cold outside, I got the month of May.
Ooh,
I guess you'll say good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the show. This is the Two Dum Yinzers episode. Mike Booyaka Booyaka 619, baby.
I was sort of humming the John Cena theme song,
Oh,
right?
good morning. Welcome back. Could have very well been Victory Monday. However, it is not Victory Monday. Nonetheless, welcome back to the Two Dumb Yinzers.
I
Did you stay up late, Mike?
did.
Got the whole thing started off with a nice little rain delay to start the game.
Hmm.
I never remembered this kind of thing in football here in Pittsburgh. We always have bad weather. Just this year, there's been delays and rain delays and
Yep.
everything else. But we did, Mike. We played a game last night against the Dallas Cowboys. And before we get started, I just want to say, um, you and I did watch a lot of the game together, and you were able to. And I don't want to get into the details just yet, but you were able to, Mike, keep predicting when things were going to happen, and it was crazy
It was. It was.
because
I
we do
shocked
this every
myself.
once in a while. Every once in a while, we'll shout something out, and it will happen. But you literally did this for every turnover the
Yeah.
Steelers defense got.
Yeah. I don't know why it wasn't working for the offense. Hopefully someone else out there in Steeler Nation can start predicting some touchdowns. I'll handle the turnovers. I'll handle the sacks. But can we get someone to handle the offense? Because Artie Smith ain't it.
Yeah, it's not looking real good on as far as the offense goes. I can agree with you on that 100%, Mike. Jeez, I think you nailed it on the head last night when you left in anger and you had said, "What what good is it to have the top defense, the top paid defense, when your offense is put together with nickels and dimes?
Yeah.
Basically, they go out and find the deal. I don't think finding the deal, this finding the deal experiment's working quite well. A few of the guys that we got on the defensive side of the ball last year, I think could prove, would prove that as well. This side, I think it bleeds over to the offense a little bit
Oh
more.
yeah.
But there's guys that we're learning you can't make the best deal and get away with the thrifty shopping like we've been
Hmm.
doing, going after guys that
Yeah, you have to hit on those guys. You can't have one single guy on offense if you're going to spend that cheap, not be a starter capable player, not being someone who can potentially be a star. You got to get all the rookies, have to hit right away in year one and year two, and some are, some aren't, and we're seeing the downside of the fans want us to spend all the money on all the defensive players. And this is what happens. We want to complain about the offense not doing anything, and like we're saying, nickel and dime on the offense. You're going to get what you get. You can't make chicken salad out of chicken. You know what? So it sucks. I want the offense to produce, and these guys got to be better. But we can't expect to score 30 points with just George Pickens,
we're not
Fryermuth,
gonna we're not gonna score
Najee,
30
Fields.
points
You
all
can't.
season, Mike. I don't
Yeah,
I don't see it
yeah,
happening.
yeah.
As we mentioned, I think that the easier games are behind us. We may have one in the Giants in a couple weeks, but I got to be honest with you. You look down the, these are the games all the way up until this game. He was hoping to stack as many as that you can get,
Yeah.
stack your wins because it's going to be a tough season. And as we said earlier on, every third or every quarter of the season gets a little bit more difficult.
Hmm.
Uh, Now they go to play the Raiders on the road, which some may say, the Raiders is winnable, and they are. However, the Raiders already beat two teams in our division, one of them being the
Yeah.
Ravens, and the other one being, I believe, the Browns. But as I said, it gets a little bit more difficult. And now after the
Hmm.
Raiders, and you have the Jets and the Giants. That concludes the first or the second, third. I'm sorry, it was up late last night. The second quarter of the season,
Yeah.
and then there's the mid game. That's the Washington Commanders. Now these guys just blew the roof off the Browns yesterday, and then we get into the tough games. And people might say, well, I mean, you got the Browns and the Bengals, but when it's division, it doesn't matter.
Divisions are tough. Yeah.
Um, and then you have the Eagles, and then you have the Kansas City Chiefs. So where, at what point do you see this team being able, considering they continuing to play the way they played through the first 5 games throughout the season, and what they've done this far, to me, seems like this is going to be what the team is, because this team isn't very different from what we've had over the past few years.
Yeah.
We've made minor adjustments, and we're still getting the same results. Uh, I mean, at the end of the day, you're a Steeler fan. Your team is going to be involved in low scoring, ugly, close games. And one more time, this team was involved in a low scoring, ugly, close game. And in my opinion, that should have been a game that we should have won, Mike.
Hmm.
And listen, I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to give you just a few examples. How often do you block a field goal in a game?
Yeah.
How often? Let me.
But blocked field
So we had
goals,
three
turnovers.
turnovers.
Hmm.
Three turnovers. Okay, we caused 3 turnovers. They had 11 penalties against them. 20. They were 25% in the red zone, and we blocked one of their field goals, and we lost this football game.
Hmm.
Usually, you see these kind of numbers that it goes the other way.
Yeah.
Again, 3 turnovers, 11 penalties, 25% in the red zone, a blocked field goal at home against the team that has a bunch of injuries. You tend to find ways to win those games. The fact that we didn't win this football game, it's again a bit scary, because the schedule isn't going to be forgiving. It's done being forgiving. Again, you might have a forgiving game against the Giants. And I got to tell you what, the Jets haven't been looking good lately.
Mm-mm.
But Dak Prescott, who didn't look impressive to me, had over 300
No.
yards. He didn't blow you away at any point of the game, maybe the last drive. But as I said, Mike, Washington is really coming on strong. And
Yeah.
at what point, when you look down his schedule, do you see a part of the schedule where the Steelers might be able to run off a 3-game winning streak, a 4-game winning streak, 3 out of 5, something like this? I'm going to be honest with you. If they're going to continue to play this way, which they showed us they're going to, because this is the way they played last year, and that's the way they played the year before, Mike, it's the same team. It's the same game. It's the same ugly, low scoring, close games.
Hmm.
The only difference is we're losing them this year.
Yeah.
We had the best record in 1-score games for the past 2 seasons. Now we can't win those games. The past 2 games were both 3-point losses, which we could have won both games, I think.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if this is going to be what it is, and we're going to fall short in the same scheme that we've been winning over the past couple seasons, and they haven't been good seasons, mind you.
Yeah.
We've been over 500, so I guess that's a good thing, right? That's what they tell me.
And we've been
But
close.
we've been close.
Yeah.
But again, if they don't start picking things up, Mike, this season could be a disaster. And it's such a shame, because you started out 3-0. You gave yourself a little bit of wiggle room. Now
Hmm.
Baltimore's tied in first place with you. Cleveland and Cincy, who knows what they're going to do? But as of right now, Mike, it feels a lot like more of the same.
Oh yeah, and it's God, the defense played well, except for the last drive, and except for numerous mental breakdowns in the secondary, and except for stopping the run, and except for, well, they did shut down CD Lamb, so that's really like the only good thing they did. You know, Dallas shot themselves in the foot. This game should have been a blowout by Dallas. You know, we got lucky on that. Dak just decided to throw to us on numerous occasions. We got lucky with that blocked field goal. Um, yeah, this game should have been a whole hell of a lot uglier. People are going to say like this defense played well. You break it down, you look at it quarter by quarter, play by play. It it was not pretty on that defense. They stepped up when we needed them to, except at the very end when the game mattered most. The offense, who struggled all game long, clawed them back into victory. And we watched this defense, give up a 70-yard drive, took off all but 20 seconds. You're the highest paid unit in the league. You have to step up. In the offense, it's terrible, but that's a shoestring budget. I'm okay with I know what I'm getting out of this offense, but this defense, You want to be the highest paid
But
defense.
how
Fancy one of these
long
guys on here.
can you
We
strap
can't
the
win like
yoke
this.
to
We
the?
have to.
You can't keep winning like this. I'm like,
You can't. You
how
can't. It
long?
finally
How
bit
long
us in
can
the
you
ass.
strap the yoke on the back of the defense and expect them to carry you? You can't do that. Again, we're going to be going on 3 seasons here.
Yeah.
You can't expect this defense to be able to win you
No.
games over and over and
No.
over. At some point, you got to be able to score more than 20 points in this league, and we were just unable to do it. We, of course, we did it last week against the Colts. However, that's one time in 5 games. Again, I think you nailed it right on the head. Where we bring in these budget players.
Yeah.
Omar goes out and finds these good deals that look fantastic in the offseason. It shuts us up, and then we get here, and I'm
Yeah.
still wondering what's going on with Cole Holcomb from the beginning of last year. I don't know if anybody. This is what I'm talking about. We have a bunch of guys that are budget.
Mm-hmm. And they
Uh,
come in with red flags, all due to injury because other teams don't want to pay them. Like Isaac Seumalo's the highest paid offensive player.
he was the best pickup we had over the past couple years.
Yeah. And then the next highest paid offensive player is Najee Harris, and he's still on his rookie contract. Like you can't win. You can't win like that. I think now Fryermuth might be the highest paid. He will be once his new contract kicks in, but that's not he's not a Travis Kelce, a prime Travis Kelce. He's not a George Kittle. He shouldn't be your highest paid offensive weapon on the team. This you have to jettison some of these defensive contracts. I hate to say it, but this team needs torn down and rebuilt. We're not winning anything right now. These guys aren't winning anything.
What you're saying is
Anything
we
right here
basically
now.
have to go through a tear down and build up
Yeah,
like the New England Patriots are. This isn't
yeah,
anything that the Steelers had to do.
no.
Maybe in my
We
whole
have to
adult
do it.
life,
Yeah,
maybe this is what we need to do. We
yeah,
need to just tear down,
yeah,
clean house, even in the coaching staff,
yeah.
and
Just
start
everyone go.
fresh.
Yeah, just do it. It needs to be done. It's nice to say, hey, we've only had X amount of coaches for this time. It's nice to say this, that, the other, but
But what's that
the
equaling to
organization's gone
anymore?
stale. The
Right. It's
organization's
gone
gone
stale.
stale. Yeah, and I don't know if we have the owner to do that. He's says, oh, we need to get back to Steeler football, running the ball, playing good defense. This is what it gets you. It gets you one score games and everyone annoyed with your franchise. You know,
And then we could come in and say, Mike, you know what, our we don't know, our left offensive line didn't play great because we're plugging and playing, and guys aren't supposed to be in places, aren't, and guys are injured, yada yada yada. However, Dallas was fighting their share of
yeah,
injuries as well. Guys that would have certainly helped on their defense, guys that
yeah,
certainly would have helped on their offense. So I mean that's not an excuse. The fact is, we went out there. I mean, our quarterback put the ball on the ground 5 times in 5 games, one fumble a game.
yeah.
And let me give you, I mean, that's just the top of this goes on and on. It's a lot going on here, Mike. Let me just go with a couple of things here. I do want to say good morning to Jen and Brian on the board. Brian said, what's the record for most sacks without ever winning a playoff game in one's career? I don't know. Did JJ Watt win any playoff games in Houston? Maybe that one year when Deshaun Watson was good.
I think they may have won one, maybe.
Um, but that's a good question. I don't know. I also do want to say good morning to Jen. Jen says, why the hell is Minka Fitzpatrick leading the tackling again this year? Listen, there's so many
Yeah.
things to talk about, guys. I want to start off. Listen, let's start at the beginning of the game because there's something that I thought was mildly entertaining as I'm watching the players
Okay.
introduce themselves across the bottom of the screen. And you know
Oh
how here
yeah.
on the two dumb Yinzers, we kind of have this debate about Cam Hayward. And I'm not going to change my stance, and I'm going to get more into why here in a moment. But when they were introducing themselves, he literally on his thing it listed him. It has his name, and then underneath it has PFF position and where they fall at that position. He was literally Cam Hayward. Get this, guys. You're going to want to be sitting down for this. Cam Hayward was number 1 out of 127, which totally contradicts what I've been saying for the longest time. How this guy's been past his prime. Mike, number 1. So when Cam
Yeah.
Hayward was saying it was only me and Aaron Donald and then everybody else, was he true? Was he correct?
I
Because I've
no.
been saying it's been bullshit for a couple seasons. Mike, number 1 out of
Yeah.
127 guys.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I like some of my buddies this morning and during the game were texting me laughing about that grade too. These even guys that are Cam Hayward fans, like No, like he'll have a couple good series here and there, but it's not consistent. I mean, look at the last play of the game. This is Cam Hayward on the goal line play,
Did anybody see this? Please,
falling into
Mike,
the end
paint this,
zone.
please. You got to paint this picture. Did anybody see on the last play of the game when Dallas scored this touchdown, the pass to the left side of the end zone? And as you're watching, you really notice it in the reverse view where they're showing it from near the sideline where the guy caught
Yeah,
the ball. Cam Hayward is going in the matrix. Mike, do the matrix thing that you were doing. This is what he was doing. Okay, Mike, continue to do that as I tell the story. And as you can see, look at Mike on the screen. It looked like there was bullets flying by him. Okay, so this is what Cam looked like from the Matrix on the last play. He's getting his ass blocked 5 yards backwards, and then you see him try to catch his footing. He falls on his ass. This is the Cam Hayward I'm talking about.
yeah.
This is the Cam Hayward that I'm talking about when I say there's no way in hell he's number one out of 127. The guy shouldn't have got this contract. The guy is 36 years old. Mike, I'm starting to think you're right. And I didn't agree with you, but I'm starting to think you're right that this team needs a
Yeah,
complete what's the word I'm looking for? A complete
overhaul.
overhaul. This is what they need.
Yeah,
They need this. We have not again in my adult life gone through what the Patriots are doing right now, which is again starting from scratch, building back up.
yeah.
We managed to stay an average team over the past at least, the past 15 years. Our record shows that. But if we want to get better, Mike, do we have to have that overhaul? Does that have to happen? Because I'm starting to think now where I thought you were crazy for this and amongst other reasons that this needs to happen.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's going to be this, what we have now for a long time. Because again, they're not going to change the way they do things, Mike. They're going to keep paying
no.
defense. Uh, Mike,
I respect the organization for trying to rebuild on the fly. We don't want the fans to suffer through these losing seasons. We're going to keep trucking along,
and
and
that's the only
eventually,
reason because
maybe
they
the
know
dam
we're
will beat
nuts.
break. Yeah, and like I respect the fact that they want to put out a good product for us. But at the end of the day, we want to see championships. We know it's unrealistic to get a championship every year, but have some nice playoff runs, have some, good regular seasons, get a couple playoff wins. If you lose after, in the championship round, okay, those things happen. You had a good season, you got better and better, better. We haven't had that. We've been stuck in a rut because you finish middle, you draft middle, you stay in the middle, and that's where we're at. Something needs to be done. You have to bite the bullet and rebuild. Chuck Noll's first bunch of seasons, we lost a whole lot.
Mike,
We rebuilt the team. Cowher had some losing seasons. We rebuilt the team,
and
and we
even when
haven't
you're
had that in
trying
17
to
years. You
rebuild
just
through the
stuck right
draft,
here.
you can only do so much when your draft class half of them is hurt every year.
Yeah,
Mike, year number one, let's call it 3 years ago. Let's start with that as year number one because that was life without Ben.
yeah,
Everybody that we've drafted over these past 3 years, Calvin Austin, he went down with a season-ending injury. Last year, who was it? There was somebody last year. Oh, it was the cornerback, Corey
Corey
Trice Jr.
Trice,
But I mean, there's other people
and
along the
he's
way.
out
These are the
again.
guys I'm
Yeah,
talking about that's been out for the season.
yeah,
This year, Fatanu, or no, we needed this guy. We went
yeah.
to the draft specifically looking for him and a guy like him, and he's been out. So what we're trying to do isn't working because on multiple levels. For one, every time there's a draft, half of our draft, Roman Wilson still hasn't seen the field yet.
Yeah. I went back through Twitter and I'm just scrolling through stuff and I found videos of like him at practice. There's a reason why he's not playing. He does not look like he has any explosion off that high ankle sprain. It wouldn't surprise me if he ends up being sat down the rest of the year. First, I thought he might be used as trade bait. Hey, you have to give something up to get someone, get like a Devontae Adams. You have to give up Roman Wilson, so be it. You're getting a proven quantity.
At this point,
Watching
I don't
him
know
in
if there's many
practice, I
people
think
I
his high
wouldn't.
ankle, those things take forever to heal. Kendrell Bell's career was derailed because of it. I would just shut him down for the year. It's just like, no, you
Wasn't
need
it
to
a
just heal it up.
sprain?
There was the high ankle sprain,
Yeah.
and those are the hard ones to heal. And last year what Pickett had surgery, but it was a different style of high ankle sprain. Mahomes had it. You can come back, but sometimes a lot of the times you can't come back from them right away. I would shut him down for the year. It sucks. We wanted him, we need him, but the videos I'm seeing, he did not look good at all. And real quick, back to the defense, it's not just Cam Hayward. Keanu Benton was supposed to make a giant leap this year. I'm watching him get pushed back a lot last week or last night. Ogunjobi, he flashed a little bit, but he was getting destroyed last week. Like, real quick, I'm gonna put up this rushing chart if it works of Dallas's running attack. Everything was right up the middle. Look at this. Everything is up the middle. All that green right up the middle. We could not stop them, stop that run up the middle, and we need to rebuild that defensive line, which
And
is
weren't they
something.
saying that their run attack wasn't that good? Wasn't that what
It
the
was the worst in the NFL, and they ended up with over 100 yards rushing on us, and we were one of the better rushing defenses in the league. They attacked the middle of that defense. Keanu Benton, Ogunjobi, Cam Hayward. Wasn't looking pretty. Like, we haven't addressed the defensive line until last year. We started drafting Keanu Benton. We Holbert stopped addressing that. Now, we two drafts. We drafted two guys on the D line. One of them's a 6th round pick that's not going to see the field this year. Then you got Keanu Benton, who had a good rookie year, but is not being that anchor that everyone hoped and thought he could be. So that there's a lot of holes on this team. The more they keep playing, the more it's coming to the surface.
I do want to say good morning to Feel the Steel on the board. Feel the Steel says, yes, I've been telling Steeler Nation it's time to clean house. I'm starting to agree with you a lot. Feel the Steel. Again,
I
I'm
hate to be
watching
this
this.
negative, but it's just a
It's not
compounding
negative.
factor of three
It's
years. It's
true.
just facts. It's
It's
facts.
facts. I'm
Yeah.
literally watching the same game that I've watched the Steelers play in 2022.
Yeah.
Except we're not winning them close ones. Okay. Let me give the team a couple more weeks because that's unfair. They did win the first 3 games of the season. So for me to go on and say we're not
Yeah.
winning the close ones,
Yeah.
they're not there yet. I'm just I'll leave it there. I'll come back to it. I
Yeah.
promise.
If we would have walked out of this game 4-1, I'd be feeling a whole lot better. If we didn't lose to the
This,
Colts.
Mike, was again the first ever Sunday night matchup between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Dallas Cowboys. The Steelers lose 20-17. They fall to 3-2. The Dallas Cowboys, they move up to 3-2 in the league. This game is the 5th largest home attendance in franchise history. Mike, the game last night between the Cowboys and the Steelers, they had 67,380 fans sold tickets. That is the 5th largest home attendance in franchise history. Pretty good stuff. And the people that came last night, they got to see something pretty exciting, I guess you could say, where TJ Watt did reach his 100th sack, as he had 1.5 sacks last night. He reached his 100th sack, Mike, in I believe it was 109 games, 107 games,
Yeah, somewhere in that range.
one of
Yes.
those odd numbers in the 100 and somethings. But so the fans got to see this. Let me go over to let me answer Jen real quick. I'm going to jump over to, we'll get some numbers out from the game last night. Jen says, what do you think TJ and Alex were talking about on the sideline when Nick Herbig went out? I was wondering that myself, because you did see that one moment
Yeah.
where TJ was walking by and he was spouting something off to Alex, and Alex said something back. But go ahead, Mike. If you want to handle that, I'm going to jump
No,
over.
it was probably like you're you're the last man standing. You got to go out there and do it yourself, or can you believe this is happening again?
Yeah.
It's just the injuries this year. It's just insane. This, and once again, key players going down. Like, we're losing the battle of attrition way too early this season. It's not. I don't think it's going to be a pretty season. I had us, about 9-10 wins. I think we might be lucky to see 7.
All right, so this is what the game looked like, Mike, as far as I'm sorry,
109. Thanks, Jen. Sorry.
the team stats. The Cowboys outgained the Steelers 445
Woo!
to 226. Passing yards for the Cowboys 336. The passing yards for the Steelers 134. Rushing yards for the Cowboys 109. For the Steelers 92. First downs 25 for the Cowboys, Steelers 17. Third down efficiency 25%, the Steelers 3 of 12, and the Cowboys 9 of 15. Total plays, the Cowboys 75. Flip the number around, the Steelers total plays 57. We allowed 6 sacks. We got 2 sacks. We punted the ball 5 times. They punted the ball once. They had 11 penalties for 87 yards. We had 8 for 50. We both lost a fumble. They threw 2 interceptions and they won the time of possession by about 5 minutes. They seem like they played a hell of a game when you look at their numbers.
Yeah,
And the
yeah,
thing was, I wasn't overly impressed with the Cowboys as you're
no.
watching it. The one thing I was overly impressed with was the fact that all their runs between the tackles moved forward.
Mm-hmm.
Everything went for
Oh
positive
yeah,
yards when you ran the ball. And at the end of the day, I think that might have been the difference because what did we say last week, Mike? After the loss, it was the trenches.
yeah.
That running game, we couldn't stop it all night, could we?
We could not. We couldn't do a damn thing against that running attack. And like we said, coming into the game, I wanted them to have to run the ball. I wanted them to go to other people outside of CD Lamb, and that's what the defense ended up doing. But it was a failure to execute and a failure of coverage in that secondary. The defensive game plan was there. It was just piss poor execution. I don't know what the hell CD Lamb did all game long. I barely remember him doing anything. So that was a plus, but we couldn't stop Turpentine. We couldn't stop the other guy, Dwaddle, Dwell, whatever his name was back in the backfield. They just ran all over us. And their offensive line is a younger offensive line. Our D line and linebackers should have ate their lunches all day long, and it just did not happen. The game plan was there. It was the failure of execution. It was frustrating to watch. How many times we're playing cover two? That's all this defense plays a lot is cover two, and we can't stop anyone. This is basic high school defenses that we're having mental breakdowns on. I don't know what the hell's going on back there. Do we need more Terrell Edmonds back there? Because we didn't have this amount of breakdowns when he was back there, you know, being the quarterback of that defense on the back end.
Yeah, there's a whole lot guys that went into this game, and you can say to yourself when you're trying to have a good season and you're trying to put a decent season together, you want to stack good wins. We are having a hard time getting a good win.
Yeah.
And I mean, people could say, "Well, you beat these guys 13-7, and you beat these guys."
But
I mean,
they
when was the
weren't
last time you
dominant
walked
wins.
away? When was the last time you walked away, and you felt that we literally went for the kill on somebody? I don't. We don't possess that. We don't possess that. We don't possess that. We don't ever go for the kill ever.
No, no.
Um,
We've been playing such conservative football ever since Ben retired. And it's like we're afraid to let quarterbacks go out there and make mistakes. And it's why we have the highest paid defense. So if the offense does make a mistake, okay, we're going to trot out a
well,
unit
this
back
isn't
out there that's
working. I
going to
don't
going to
like. I think
stop
that
them.
this has failed us over and over now for a few
Yeah,
years.
yeah, I agree. They need to go out there and be more aggressive. Let the quarterback, whoever it is, rip the ball downfield. No, if it works, fine. If it doesn't, oh well, what we're
He
doing
got
right
to
now is
take his
not working
shots.
well.
I'm not too. I'm not really. Again, there's so much, Mike. I mean, we
Yeah,
could go on about the things in this game that didn't go right for us. But the one thing that I do okay is remember last week they went for it on 4th and 1 on their own 39
yeah,
and failed. Well, this week when you have Isaac Siamalu in your on your offensive line, I'm
yeah,
a little bit more okay with that. Where
yeah,
last year you were plug and play defensive players, all the injured guys, all your rookies. I thought it was a stupid idea. The fact that they did it right up Siamalu's ass and it was successful,
yeah.
I was a lot more okay with it this week. Not only because it was successful, it just made more sense when you have
Yeah.
somebody like that to run behind.
And you can see the way how low he got. He can tell like he was one of the main guys on that Philly line with that tush push play of he got low and Fields kind of, rubbed up the center and right behind Sayamalo in that gap right there. It was perfect. And then you had Big Friday pushing him. You were allowed to do that. So they were smart. They did that too. I like the call. I like the play design. It was good. They were aggressive, but I want to see that. I don't know. I want more aggressiveness out of the offense.
Mike, I think this is going to be a good one for you as I go over to a different board here. Jen says Beanie was getting abused. I think that you could
Oh
have
my
something to say
God.
about that, huh?
Yeah, this guy it might be the worst nickelback I've ever seen play. He looked lost and confused.
He's a rookie, man. What do you
I
want?
don't I don't care.
Hey,
You got to put someone else
he
out
wasn't
there.
even drafted.
I don't care. You're on the team. You got to make those plays. I hold everyone accountable.
No, I mean, it's
But yeah,
one
he
thing,
is a
but
rookie. He should not
if
have
he
been
doesn't
out
have
there.
the ability to make the
Yeah, I know.
plays,
He should have been taken out. I don't care. Put James Pierre in there. I think he was activated. I don't even know if he was. You got to put someone else out there at that point. You got to do something. He was getting picked on and abused all night long. I felt bad. I didn't feel. I felt bad for him. You can see how outmatched he was. But yeah,
Hey, only another month we could get Cam Sutton back. Who knows how far we'll be in the hole at that point? But guys,
yeah.
another month. I think the Washington game, Cam Sutton will be back. So we do have in the meantime Las Vegas, New York on the schedule.
Uh,
Let me.
there's time to bounce back. This team
There's
can
there's
bounce
plenty
back.
of time. You're only five
Yeah,
games into the
I know.
season.
It's
I
just,
just don't know if they can do it.
I know.
And as I said, every quarter of the season gets a little bit more difficult when you look at the schedule. Is
Mhm.
that what I mean? Does it look like we're ready to handle more difficult at this time? I
Oh
don't.
God, no, no.
Let's go over this offense, Mike. The Kyle Allen, we got a chance to see Mr. Allen. They let him throw the ball. He went 1 for 1 for 19 yards. Very odd that you see a backup come in and get to throw a
Yeah.
ball in their series. And he did. They threw the ball downfield, and he was one
Uh,
for 1 for 19. I
I was
liked Kyle
shocked.
Allen in the preseason. But anyway, Fields goes 15 for 27 for 131 and 2 touchdowns. In the backfield, the leading rusher was Najee Harris for 14 carries, 42 yards. You know what? Those are funny, but listen to these ones. This is one that really gets me.
Uh-huh.
Najee Harris led in receiving
Yep, like
yards.
Jen said, yeah.
35 receiving yards, led the way on 2 catches for Najee. Now, the second guy on the list is Van Jefferson, who coincidentally has the same numbers as George Pickens. Both of them 3 catches, 26 yards for an 8.7 yard average. No touchdown for one of them guys. Now, these two next guys on the receiving statistics, Connor Hayward and Pat Fryermuth, they both had touchdowns. Connor Hayward with 2 catches, 23 yards. Pat Fryermuth with 3 catches, 22 yards. And beyond that, 1 catch for Austin, 1 catch for Washington. So, you can't have that. I can
No,
tell you that if you want to win football games, that you can't have that.
no, that's bad. That's bad. I don't know what the hell's going on with George Pickens. Like I was telling Ryan off the air, there's videos starting to come up now from the game of plays going the opposite way of Pickens, and he's just walking. And not even trying to make himself up as a decoy, not even trying to, continue his route over in case the play breaks down to be open. Um, at the last play of the game, whoever from Dallas recovered that fumble, he's just throwing him around by the face mask as the game goes along, or as the play was going over. I think there's something wrong with him up here. He's not happy, and he's pouting and not working hard. Everything that we saw like Deontay start to do, and I, if we have to make a trade, if Pickens has to be involved in the trade to get someone, at this point, I'm okay with it. This is the guy that's supposed to be a number one receiver. We saw balls go through his hand today. We saw him quit on routes. I'm tired of his antics. This is why he fell to the second round, or part of the reasons why. He had medical concerns and character concerns, and uh, things don't go his way. He gets that boo boo face. He starts pouting and acting out. You saw it last week on the sidelines in against the Colts. Guy has talent, but I don't think he's ever going to put it together.
Let me get through these defensive numbers.
Sorry,
Patrick,
Ryan.
no,
Sorry.
no, I'm just watching the time. Minka Fitzpatrick had 8 tackles, 2 assisted tackles. He led the way. TJ Watt had 7 tackles, 1 assisted tackle with a sack and a half. Nick Herbig had a half a sack, and the interceptions by Joey Porter and Dante Jackson pretty much are the main highlighted numbers on the defensive side of the ball. Mike, I was happy to see your guy get his interception. That was interesting because
Yeah.
you were so sick with the Steelers at the time that this happened,
Oh, I walked away.
and you walked away. You left, and then I got a hold of you and I said, "Dude, Joey Porter just got an interception. Get your ass back to the studio." And he came back, and at that time, his other boy, Pat Fryermuth, of course, Mike is the Penn State guy, scores a touchdown, feeling pretty good, and then the rest. But
And then we watched the defense collapse.
again, how long can we expect this defense to keep us in every game? It's
Well,
kind of
you have to
say
make a
that
stop
this
right there.
guy has to play good. This guy has to play. how can this team be expected to play top level every single week and cover for this offense? It's not right. The offense at some point has to improve. Again, if it was the Baltimore Ravens defense of 2000, the Buccaneers of 03, even the Ravens of 2012, maybe, but we're just not getting those results. I mean, those defenses were smothering Mike. You
Yeah.
couldn't do anything against them. I mean, the balls, the turnovers, and everything. I just don't know if
Uh,
the defense is that kind of defense.
no, but the way the local media and some of the fan base wants to talk, this defense is one of those defenses. So, yeah, they bailed the offense out a lot last night, but when it mattered most, a 4 minute drive down the field to win the game, you gotta make that stop. The offense gets you back into the game. You should be fired up, ready to go back out there and get a stop, get a 3-and-out, get the offense the ball, and get out with a victory. And they just couldn't stop Dallas on that last drive at all. And it was an embarrassing performance at the end there. Like you have to dig down deep and find a way to make that stop. And no, I don't think this defense has those type of players or those type of leaders to get that out of the everyone else around them. They don't have that Joey Porter Jr. type that will
Cam,
sit
two
there and get you fired
tackles.
up. Yeah,
Okay, Mike, this was number one out of 127.
yeah,
According,
and
he had two tackles,
two
and
tackles. And
one of them, he fell on somebody.
yeah,
Now I say this on the show, people laugh at me. They said, "Come on,
he
Cam's
did.
good. He don't fall." Listen, there was literally a play where Cam fell on the guy. The guy
Mm-hmm.
was he tackled at first, Mike,
Yeah,
and then Cam fell on him,
fell
and
on him.
he did get credited. I'm telling you, go
Yeah,
back and watch the video. It's
it's
exactly that.
like all three of these guys up front too. You really didn't have to double team them. You got one-on-one blocked all three. Keanu, Cam, Larry. Oh, it was a pathetic performance up front from those guys overall. And
They were pushed
they
all around the
flashed
field.
they flashed here and there, but overall it was just poor performance. You can't say otherwise. You look at the rushing chart that I put up. Look at the stats, man. They attacked that middle of that defense. I think Patrick Queen needs to sit. I want to Landon Roberts out there who should have been the hero of the game. My God, he comes flying up. He's say that was one of the best goal line plays I've ever seen in my life. I'm riding with Landon
He's a
Roberts,
beast, man.
and I'm riding with Peyton Wilson. Patrick Queen, I think he needs to sit down and figure it out. You know, you got your big contract, not as much as you wanted, but you got your big contract. You got to play.
Yeah,
Like,
when am I gonna be impressed with him?
yeah, I have not been impressed at all. I thought he would be a sideline to sideline guy flying all over the place. No, give me more Landon Roberts. Give me
I
more
agree.
Peyton Wilson. I hate to say because I like Patrick Queen when I watched him down in Baltimore. That
He
guy
was a
was all
different
over the place.
player. He was dude. It was a different scheme or something because he's definitely been. The
Yeah,
results were more in
yeah,
Baltimore than what I've seen. I've seen the guy being out of position. I've seen the guy
hmm
chasing people down that
yeah.
he should have been. I don't know. Again,
And he seems really hesitant.
yes.
That when the stuff I would watch when he was in Baltimore, he was so decisive.
Also, Mike, on the defensive side of the ball, we don't know what I certainly don't know what the deal with Nick Herbig is. Of course, we know he hurt his hamstring. We don't know what the
Yeah,
seriousness of that is. We'll learn more about injuries tomorrow when Mike Tomlin's
yeah.
press conference comes. I don't think there was any other significant injuries in this game. Is there, Mike? Maybe I'm forgetting something. Or
Um, DeMarvin Leal, he went out too. He had
yeah, was
the
he
neck stinger.
serious?
It was a neck stinger. Usually those you depending on how severe, it's usually just like a game injury. Yeah, I think he'll be back depending on how well that the nerve, you know,
Yeah.
heals up. And then at that point, it's like, okay, how not like a discomfort level, but how can you move your neck and your arms and your shoulders and all that fun stuff? It's going to
Who
be
needs to do
how is it
that?
going to perfect his performance? But
Right.
we need both these guys. I mean, like we have two healthy outside linebackers.
Yeah. I got where's Moon? Isn't Moon healthy now?
Yeah, he's healthy. We have Moon and TJ Watt.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah,
jeez. We got
yeah,
that, and then on the other side we got Cordell Stewart, and I mean, you know what? Me and Mike and I had this other idea. We thought to ourselves, we've seen over the past couple of weeks guys that or just over time, I guess, with Tomlin being, the king of mediocrity, I guess you could call it, because it's his keeping the team just over 500 is the big thing. Who's some of the other players, Mike, that we were thinking should be on this team?
Oh, the all
The
regular
all
season
regular
team.
season team.
So you have Dak, TJ,
Okay, yeah,
Cam
that's where I
Hayward.
wanted to start. Dak
Yeah.
Prescott is the most regular season quarterback I've ever seen in my life. The
It-
dude always has good seasons in Dallas,
yeah.
right? Always.
Yeah.
What is the dude? He never ever does anything in the playoffs. Mike Tomlin, greatest regular season coach ever. TJ
Can
Watt, never won a playoff game, is the all-time, whatever sack leader. How many
yeah.
Cam Hayward falls in that category. He never won a
Uh
playoff game.
yeah. Like you can have Kirk Cousins as your backup quarterback.
And you could build a team with these players that are the best players in the world all through the regular season, but just never ever get anything done
Come
in the
crunch time.
postseason.
Yeah.
Mike, I think we're going to start working on that team.
I
Maybe when
think we
it
will.
starts slowing up through the middle of the week, we will
We'll put that one out there.
we'll start assembling
That
the all regular season team.
that's been like the most enjoyment I've had on the show. This might be the biggest smile I have coming up with the all-time disappointment team. Gary Anderson as kicker.
Leave Gary B.
Hey, he
Come on,
choked
man.
that up in
That's not right.
Minnesota. No, he
Um,
fits the definition to a T. I love Gary
so
Anderson,
the
but
AFC around the AFC North over the
oh
weekend. Let's see if we get any help from our friends. The Baltimore Ravens, they beat the Cincinnati Bengals in a game that the Bengals should have won. The Ravens did win, however, 41-38. So they now tie us in the division in first place. That was quick. We had a few games wiggle room on them, and all
we
of a
did.
sudden, here we are. Okay.
Hey,
Anyway, and then
hey, we're getting our collapse out of the way early.
we're getting the
We're
we're getting
getting
the
it out of the
collapse
way
out of
now.
the way before we play the good teams.
Yeah, and
So
then
the
we'll be ready to go. We'll have that adversity built in, and we'll go.
one
We'll
thing
have
that
a nice push.
we don't have Mason to come in and win the last two games. We don't have Kenny to come in and win on the last drive. So we'll see. We will see the difference this year, guys. But Mike, the results in the other game were the Washington Commanders, who certainly come a long way in this league over the past few
Holy
years,
moly!
34 over the Cleveland Browns 13. So the two Ohio teams, Cleveland and Cincinnati, they both sit at one and what are they? 1-4.
Yeah,
You whiz. And us and the Ravens are both 3-2. Pretty cut and dry when it comes down to the division. That Cleveland, they have a disaster up there in their hands.
I
I
love.
thought we
Oh,
had a bad thing going on right now.
did you see the Stefanski went in to go for on fourth down, and Deshaun Watson just walking off the field like, no, we're kicking it, and they had to burn one of their timeouts, and then they're like, well, yeah, we're not going to bench him. He quit on you in the middle of the drive because he didn't want to go for it on fourth down. This
The
is why I'm glad Cleveland's in the league to make me
Yeah,
feel
makes
better
me
about
feel
our
better.
situation. Like we don't our quarterbacks aren't quitting on the team. You know,
The Bengals are so bad this year.
oh, I love it. And
I mean,
like,
here's the thing. They thought they were going to get rid of Joe Mixon. They thought they were going to get rid of Tyler Boyd. They thought they were going to get rid of a lot of players that were effective, productive players and get the same results because guess what? I got Joe Burrow. Well, that ain't working. It ain't working that way.
yeah, like Joe Burrow, he's having a good year, 12 touchdowns, 2 picks, but that defense is terrible. They don't have a run game, like you said. It's just it's typical Cincinnati Bengals down there. They have a good offense, but that defense, man, ooh, if you got to let those guys go on offense, you better have a damn good defense, and they don't.
Let me catch up with, I'm sorry, Phil the Steel on the board. He says, let's just go clean the Steeler locker room out. Keep TJ as Belichick if he can coach for a few years.
And get Brady back here for a ring. Hell yeah.
Get Brady back for a ring.
Tom wants to keep playing. He can come here. I'll take him.
Also, Steelers, let's see, Steelers have many one-play moments. Last night could have been the immaculate fumble. And then also this is
Dak Super Bowl.
Whack Dak Super Bowl cookout story game, the save.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in like
I
general
was
quick
not
saying,
impressed with Dallas at all. At all. And that just goes
yeah,
to show you if I wasn't a Steeler fan, how unimpressed with the Steelers I would be.
yeah.
Because I'm a fan, a lifelong fan, and we do what we do. I find ways to justify things in my mind. But you know what? if I and again, I wasn't satisfied. I mean, I wasn't impressed with Dallas. So if I was
Yeah.
watching as a non-Steeler fan, how unimpressed would I be with the Pittsburgh
Mhm.
Steelers?
Yeah. And like real quick, like Jen saying, the wide receiver coach, like I thought he would be the one to keep Pickens in line because he was up in his face in training camp, holding him accountable. And I had
See,
no idea what's going on,
these
GP.
kind of things, you can find a way to let them slide if you're winning football games.
Yeah, if you're winning, yeah, you can let that slide.
But the second something like this starts happening, George Pickens, for example, and you're losing, it gets
Hmm.
magnified by 100.
Yeah.
And
That's
this is
like,
where,
yeah, like when
yeah, go ahead.
AB was doing all of his antics, he was
Yeah.
winning, putting up numbers, and the minute you don't, it's like, all right, you got to go.
Mike, I'm going to go through these NFL scores of the
Yeah,
weekend real quick, and then we got to get
yeah.
into the grades. We still got a lot to go on. Guys, the scores over the weekend, of course, Thursday we covered on Friday was the Falcons 36, the Buccaneers 30. The undefeated Minnesota Vikings topped the Jets 23 to 17 and stay undefeated.
Woo!
There are two undefeated teams in the league, the Vikings and the Chiefs. The Bears, they put a pounding on the Deontay Johnson and Carolina Panthers 36 to 10. The Bears win that. Again, the Commanders, they beat the Browns 34 to 13. Miami 15, New England 10. This one here I find most intriguing
Oh,
because this, guys, is where it all starts for the Indianapolis Colts. They stepped on the towel last week. They defaced the towel. The team that was currently hadn't won a game yet this year, had only won 2 games since last year when they defaced a terrible towel. The Jacksonville Jaguars, they break the schneid. They beat the Colts. So the way I see this is it's been lifted from Jacksonville and passed to Indianapolis. Indianapolis loses their first game since defacing the terrible towel last week. They, in my opinion, look like Myron Cope is about to come down and put the kibosh on these guys. So there you go. Watch for the Colts to suffer
I
horribly
hope,
over the next half a season at least. Thank
hopefully.
you, terrible towel. Also, Mike, in a big game between two really good teams in the AFC, the Houston Texans beat the Buffalo Bills 23 to 20. Again, that AFC North battle between the Ravens and the Bengals, advantage to the Ravens 41 to 38.
Oh,
The Broncos, all of a sudden, they're starting to win some football games. Maybe it's the
mhm.
old uniforms. I don't know what it is, but they did beat our next opponents, the hated Raiders. They beat them 34 to 18. Mike, this one was a bit of a surprise to me. The
That's,
Cardinals upset the
mhm.
49ers
Yeah.
24 to 23. This is another one. The Giants upset Seattle. Seattle was just undefeated last week. I didn't think the Giants were able to walk and chew gum at the same time.
Me
There you
too.
have the Giants 29, the Seahawks 20. Mike, the Packers, they beat the Rams 24 to 19. Of course, the Steelers it was a 20 to 17 finish. And tonight, guys, the Monday night
Yep.
football game is the Saints at the Chiefs. We'll see. We'll see, Mike. Maybe, I mean, Saints put up a lot of points early in the season. They slowed down considerably. However, who knows? It's Monday night. We'll see what happens. Maybe the Saints will help us out and give the Chiefs a loss.
Hopefully, I would love to see because the Chiefs have not been playing good football, but they find a way to win.
They do find a way to win. Mike, let's jump to the grades of the week.
Oh,
Let's see. Quarterbacks. We got to go through these kind of quick, Mike, because we still have a lot of things that we got
yeah.
to hit. Quarterbacks, we of course on the show we go from an A to an F grading scale as you would if you were in school. We're going to go through the position one by one. Mike's going to grade them. Mike, quarterbacks, how do you think our quarterbacks performed last night on a grading scale of A to F?
C minus for Justin Fields. C
Okay.
minus.
And the only reason it's staying above that is because Kyle Allen came in and looked,
Yeah.
decent.
Well, that he did have two touchdown passes. Led
All
what should
right.
have been the game winning drive.
There you go. Next, Mike, the running back position. What do you grade the running back position? Um,
D plus.
D
D
plus.
plus.
Interesting. Tight ends, Mike, the tight end position. What do you give these guys?
They're gonna get a C plus because they did have the touchdowns
Connor
there.
Hayward dropping the ball down the
Yeah, he dropped the ball.
sideline. I
Yep,
mean, there
yep.
was a handful of things
Yeah,
both
that's why
ways.
they're getting a C plus. It might be the best grade on the team.
Mike, the wide receiver room. What did the wide receivers get as far as grades in last night's game against Dallas?
D minus.
I mean, Van Jefferson had some catches. What did he have?
Yeah, two for 20 something, two for whatever George had.
Oh,
Yeah,
geez. All right.
yeah. They get a D minus. George had some drops. All serious, yeah.
You
Nope.
were being you have a tight grading
Hey,
curve
two
today.
two
There's
losses
no
in a row. The grades tighten up.
all right. Let's go to the offensive line, Mike. What do you give this offensive line for their game performance last
Mm,
night?
C minus. C minus. They're missing blocks in the run game. Yeah, some of the time to throw in the pocket was not there. C minus.
All right, defensive line. We're going to hop over to the defensive side of the ball. What do you give the defensive line? Cam Hayward, Keanu Benton, Larry Ogunjobi. What do you give these guys?
Hmm. You know what? They get a D plus because the Loudermilk had the block on
I
special
was going to
teams.
say, who blocked that? Was that Loudermilk?
Now, this
Who blocked the
Loudermilk,
field
man,
goal?
I want to see Loudermilk more than I want to see Cam at this point. I'm sorry. I used to be a big Cam guy too. I used to love Cam.
Mike, we're going to jump back to the linebackers. Linebackers, what do you give these guys across the board, outside, inside? What do you give the linebacker room?
They get a C minus because of TJ Watt and Landon Roberts.
They did well, is what you're saying?
Yeah, and Herbig until he went out. Yeah,
Okay,
they get a C
yeah.
minus. They get a C
Herbig's a
minus.
little. He's a honey badger. That guy, the way he
Yeah,
moves.
yeah, like that. Those three's performance helped elevate that grade to a C
All right,
minus.
Mike. The defensive backs. What do you give the DBs? Joey Porter Jr., Dante Jackson, and company.
They get a D plus. You know, those two interceptions help, but there's so much busted coverage back there.
All
It
right.
was a joke.
Special teams. Special teams. I don't think there was any blunders. That has
No.
to be a pretty fair, pretty average grade, right?
Yeah, they're gonna get an A. They had the block. Boz did what he needed to do. Killebrew had that nice pickup on that first punt of the game, I think it was first. That could have been blocked. So yeah, they get an A.
Coaching, Mike. What does the coaching get for this game across the board? Head coordinators, both sides. What do you get the coaches?
Danny Smith, thank God you're on this team. Otherwise, this grade would have been a whole hell of a lot worse. They get a D plus.
All right, and finally, the overall grade for the game yesterday by the Pittsburgh Steelers.
D
Like, what do you
plus.
give these guys? A D plus?
D plus. D plus. And they almost won the game on a D plus.
Yeah. Just another bizarre.
That's like yeah, it's like you look at all this stuff. You look at performance, like it was a 3 point game that they could have won it a couple times in that game. That's why I'm so frustrated because they could have won the game. If it would have been a
Yeah.
blowout, I'd been like, all right, you know what, blowout. But no, this was a 3 point game. We had a chance to win it on offense and defense on a couple occasions, and we just couldn't do it. And that's what's the frustrating.
Steelers guys, they're ready to put together a very aggressive offer. They're trying to get and land Devontae Adams from the Raiders, who we're playing this week. Maybe we could just put him on the plane with us when we come back to Pittsburgh. I don't know if this is even going to help
He
us at this point,
he can
but
wait in the locker room when we land. He can be there ready to play.
the Devontae Adams guys, that is the last word from Friday. Of course, the last time we got to see everybody, Steelers reportedly putting together a very aggressive offer. So we'll
Ah,
see if that will pan out.
I'm offering a second this year, George Pickens, and a third next year.
And there's a lot of teams, Mike, the Ravens, the Cowboys, a bunch
The
of teams,
Jets.
Jets, that also have interest in him. So it will be something that we'll be keeping our eyes on moving forward. We're running down on time here, Mike. Let me just jump over to college football throughout the weekend. Pitt Panthers, they win a big game. They are 5-0 for the first time in a long, long time. Mike, I believe I think 91, maybe give or take. But this is a little bit this is a little bit more impressive. Pitt quarterback Eli Holstein. He is the first quarterback since Dan Marino to win his first 5 starts as
Wow.
a Pitt quarterback. He has amazing numbers so far this season. Again, the team is 5-0. They jumped up in their rankings. They are 22 in the country as we speak, going into a home game against California next week. California, they lost to Miami the other night in a pretty good game in its own. But these are Eli Holstein's numbers till this point. He's 112 for 171 for 1,567 yards. He has 15 touchdowns through the air, 3 interceptions, 265 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. The team has scored 228 points, and they are 5-0. Again, this team is going to be going for their 6th win at home next week against Cal. If they can do it halfway through the season, we can make it without losing a game. It's pretty impressive. Then I think they have a week off again. They have another bye, and then they play a Thursday game against Syracuse. But again, California next. Mike, Penn State wins over the weekend. Penn State wins 27-11 over UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
They bump up to number 4 in the country. Ohio State Derpy squad, they beat Iowa 35-7. They move up to number 2 in the country. Also, uh, West Virginia, they win 38-14 over Oklahoma. Couple big games. Mike, Vanderbilt upsets number 1
Ooh,
Alabama 40 to
who saw that?
35.
Who saw
Number
that coming?
whew, Alabama beats Georgia last week, and then they come out and lose to Vanderbilt this week. I don't get it.
That's why I love football.
Also, number 4, Tennessee, Mike, they lose to Arkansas, which is another big one. Um, Also around the conference, around the ACC at least, the Miami Hurricanes beat Cal 39-38 in that game. Michigan loses. They're a number 10 team. UCL or USC lost. They were ranked. Louisville lost. They were ranked. So there is a lot of movement going around in the top 25 to start this week off. But H2P, let's go Pitt. We got Cal this weekend at home. Also,
I
Mike,
hate to say it, but I'm starting to follow Pitt
I
this
know you
season.
are because I know you are.
I know. I you know what? Like if they lose, I'm happy. If they win, I'm like, okay. But
Right.
it's nice to have a team I don't have to be invested emotionally in like
Right.
I am with the Steelers or Penn State.
The Pittsburgh Riverhounds, they're back in action against the Miami FC on Saturday night. Mike, they shut them guys out 4-0. A 4-0 win by the Hounds. Penguins in their last preseason game beat the Jackets in the second part of a home and home. They win 7-3. They open up Wednesday against the Rangers at home. Um, what else, Mike? I think I had something else here, but you know what? I'm going to pass it off to you.
Ugh.
You could tell everybody about the website, and then we'll get into this question of the day.
The 2dumyinzers.com. Head on over there, guys. Especially if you're new, we have all of our links to all of our social medias over there. What else we got over there? We got the merchandise store, and we got the blog. New one will be up later today or early tomorrow, talking about this debacle of a performance last night. So check it out at the 2dumyinzers.com.
Okay, I found what I was looking for, Mike. There's only 12 teams, 12 teams left, excuse me, in college football that are undefeated. Just 12 teams, Mike. Uh, Army, Navy, Iowa State, BYU, Miami, the Indiana Hoosiers, Texas, Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, Pitt, and I think Liberty. It's LIB.
Yeah,
Flames.
Liberty.
All right. So there you go. 12 teams left in college football that's undefeated. I'm very excited to be a part of that. Mike and Derpy's teams are usually at this point in the season a part of that, but now I'm excited to join
No,
the
no,
group
Pitt.
and having Pitt involved. So good for them as well. Love to see it happening. All right, Mike, question of the day, guys on the board,
Yes.
people at home. This is the question of the day. Timmy Turner, I love the name. Timmy Turner says Beanie Bishop sucks. Yeah, I mean, he's undrafted. He was kind of what we had to go with, especially having Cam Sutton coming back after the halfway point. It was just almost it made sense, but you're right. He sure isn't looking too great. Uh, Mr. Isaac says, okay, it's time to put in Russell Wilson. Mike, real quick, what do you think about that? Russell Wilson is going to be healthy enough to play possibly
Yeah.
soon. Do you give him a shot or do you keep going with
I hate to, be like, oh, let's wait and see, and it'd be too late for the wait and see,
right,
Like, do you want to pull Fields? And it's easier to go back to Fields. Like if Russ goes in and doesn't play
right.
well, we saw Russ can move or Justin can move the offense. So I go ahead and do it. Give him a couple games, and if it doesn't work out, you go back to Justin and you just play Justin the rest of the way.
All
That
right,
way,
guys,
you've tried everything you could at that point.
I agree. We're going to jump into the question of the day, guys. We're running short here. This is, of course, on the show. Every week, this team that the Steelers are playing this coming week. For example, this week is the hated Raiders. This is going to be who the trivia questions are going to be about this week. Last week was Dallas. This week it's the Raiders. And here we go, guys. First day, question of the day, Raiders. Mike, guys on the board, everybody at home, here we go. We're going to start easy and get difficult as we go. What year was the Immaculate Reception? Of course, it was against the Raiders. Of course, it was an AFC divisional game. Of course, it was at Three River Stadium. But what I want to know is what year did that all go down? John Madden was in the house. Franco Harris was certainly in the house. You think it over for a minute. We are live. We're live 5 days a week right here, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube every day. All right, Mike, coming to you, man.
Yes.
What year was the Immaculate Reception? Of course, this is a Raiders question in a way because this happened against the hated Raiders. Mike, what year was the Immaculate Reception?
1973.
1973. And is this your final answer?
Final answer.
All right, I'm locking you in on 73. Field of Steel on the board says 1974. Maybe give the guys on the board just another moment. If you want to throw a score up there, give it a shot. Field of Steel said 74. Mike 73. Again, the question of the day. What year was the Immaculate Reception? I'll even give you the day and the month. It was December 23rd. AFC divisional game at Three River Stadium. All I need from you is which year? All right, guys, question of the day. What year was the Immaculate Reception? Mike said 73. Field of Steel said 74. And of course, the answer to this question, guys, is 1972. 1972
Wow.
was the Immaculate Reception. Yeah, you guys were close.
Oh, dang it.
But there you go, guys. 1972 was the Immaculate Reception. I like when you're walking through the parking lot in between the stadiums and you get to put your foot right on that foot mark where Franco Harris planted his foot when he caught that ball.
Yeah, I was doing the math back from the last Super Bowl, and I just forgot what year.
Franco and you forgot that your math was terrible, and I know.
No, I was a year ahead because I just thought it was that year.
All right. Stop yelling at me.
Hey, we didn't yell at each other during the show after a Steeler.
We don't win when they lose. I mean, we don't fight when they lose. We only
it's
fight
when they win we fight.
Anything before we start getting ready to wrap it up, Mike?
There is some good news. Next year and the year after, like the Steelers can cut Cam Hayward and there's zero dead cap space.
That's
right. So this could be the last year of Cam Hayward. We have until March 16th of next year to cut him.
All right,
just throwing that out there. Just throwing it out there.
My thing is this, Mike, in 2025, the Savannah Bananas are coming to Pittsburgh to PNC Park. That's right, the Savannah Bananas. What is the Savannah Bananas, you ask? It is the baseball version of the what are they called? The Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah.
It's basically it's a fixed game. However, the results aren't fixed the way that the Globetrotters and the Washington
Generals,
sixth graders or whoever that is that they play all the time, the Generals. It actually, the results vary, but it is the baseball version of the Harlem Globetrotters. Again, the Savannah Bananas scheduled to come here, PNC Park, in 2025. That's kind of cool, I guess. I don't know. I dig the Globetrotters, so we'll give it a look. And I also do want to say thank you everybody for coming to hang out and check us out today. We appreciate each and every one of you. You guys are super awesome as always. Guys on the board, always keeping things interested. We certainly couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much. Brian comes in with his 2007.
What an ass.
Picks tomorrow. It's already been decided, but the other party isn't here, so we didn't go over them today. So tomorrow, after the week officially ends, after Monday Night Football is over tonight, we will go over this week's picks.
Yeah.
See who won, see who lost, see who's got the inside track on getting the Permanis Brothers sandwiches at the end of the year. It's the competition is hot between Mike and Derpy, so we will go over all that tomorrow. Mike, anything else before we go, brother?
No, just thanks for everyone stopping in, and don't forget to like and subscribe while you're here.
Absolutely. And also www.the2dumyinzers.com. And feel free to go check out all of our social media platforms as well. Everything is greatly appreciated. Guys, thank you so much. Mike, again, this is episode Booyaka 619. If you know, you know. Other than that, my friend, anything else? Speak now for I rolled your piece.
I got nothing. Good show. Good show, everyone.
All right, yes. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow. Again, don't forget Monday Night Football tonight. The Saints at the Chiefs. We'll be back tomorrow, same time to do it all over again. I'm sure we'll be talking a lot about that game and much, much more. And the Steelers heading into Raiders week. So check us out tomorrow. For Mike in the Steelers Central Mobile Studio, myself, the two Dum Yinzers. Everybody have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.